The other day we took the in-laws to get their second COVID vaccinations. When we were dropping them off, we parked across the neighbour's driveway because the road was quite busy. The neighbour immediately rushed out of the house. We thought they were going to tell us off for parking across their drive, but in fact they very kindly gave us this. Well, not actually this alone, but also 2 Pentax ME Supers. But today I want to talk about this. This is the Olympus Trip 35. It's an absolute design classic. Introduced in 1967, the production run was for about 15 years. And it became very famous in the 1970s when there was an advertising campaign with the photographer David Bailey. This is quite a wonderful little camera. Apparently it's called the Olympus Trip because it's a 35mm camera and it's perfect for taking on trips. Oh, okay. Right, this one comes with a cable release and it comes with a small Voigtlander flash. The Voigtlander flash is quite interesting because the flash is about the only thing on this camera which you need any technical knowledge about at all. But I'll come back to that in a minute. Right, let's take this off. Okay, so this camera is simplicity itself to use. To advance the film, use the little wheel in the back, and I know the film is going round properly because the rewind knob is also going round as I advance it. To set the camera up, I simply place the A onto the aperture ring, and as you can see the aperture ring moves around and I get this line lined up with the A. To focus, I do the same with the icons here. Close portraits, family couples, groups, mountains. If that isn't simple enough, on the bottom I have the same information but in meters and feet. On the top of the camera I have the rewind knob, which is released by this clutch button here. I have the frame counter, I have the button, the shutter release button, which you can previously see will take a threaded cable release. On the back, as well as the advance button, I have a viewfinder. The front of the lens is a beautiful little 40mm Psycho prime lens, and this sort of dappling around the lens here is the selenium bariometer. So basically all I do is I put this onto A, I select, well in this case a landscape, and the camera should do everything else as long as I remember to set the film speed. Now the film speed goes in steps from 400 down to 25. It says ASA, but that also works for ISO. So I've set it to aperture, I've set the distance, I've set the ISO. All I now do is point and shoot. Simple as that. This camera came with a film in it. So I'm going to take the camera out because I don't even know what the film is. So I press the clutch button, I fold out the rewind lever, and this should allow me to roll the film back into the cassette. Okay, that click means it's come off the other side. To open the camera, I depress the little lever here and the camera pops open, and here you can see the film. To release it I have to pull the film release up, and this tells me that I actually have a 400 ISO film in it. I guessed at 100. I've been shooting this film at 100 ISO. Okay, well we'll get it developed eventually and see what happens. It has to be said that if I bought this camera, I'd actually be quite disappointed. The lens should not wobble. The aperture ring is fine. The focusing is a little bit loose and it wobbles, but the film speed ring is a complete nightmare. I cannot believe that this is going to be completely in focus across each frame. But at least that's something to look out for. I initially thought that the fact that there's a small hole there in the aperture was a problem, but it turns out not to be, because they all do. About half the pictures on this roll of film were taken by the previous owners of the camera. At some point I will get this processed and I'll return the pictures to them. The other half of the roll was the one that I've been thinking was 100 ISO, well, it's a guess. So the exposure on these could be 2 stops out, because the difference between 100 ISO, which I was using, 400 ISO, is that I've been overexposing each of the frames by 2 stops. That might work, I don't know, we'll just have to see. It remains though a beautiful, beautiful little camera. This one more of an ornament than a usable machine, I suspect. So this is going into my collection. I don't think I'll be using it too much, but I'm looking forward to getting another one. This is my first Olympus Trip, and I really, really, really want another one now. So the Olympus Trip 35, a design classic from the 1960s.